Hi, everyone. Welcome. Today, I'd like to talk about finishing a record. You've done the recording, you're really pleased with the production, everything is sounding great. However, here are some hidden steps that I find some people don't take the extra care to make sure that they're completing their song, the production of that song, in the best, strongest way possible. Okay, so I just find that when you think things are good enough is not good enough, especially if you want to really make an impact and to really wow your listeners and do the best work that you're capable of doing. So at the end of the production, everything is there, I'm listening. The first thing I will do in assessing what I might change or add or do whatever I'm to the production is I'm going to redo the bass. I do this probably 60-70% of the time when I'm producing. I will go back and re-record the bass, whether it's a guitar or whether it's synth bass or whatever, because usually bass and drums are one of the earlier instruments that you would put on a song, right? However, there's so many overdubs done on top of that, or the arrangement or little vocal things that you'll find that if you redo the bass and just start again, you'll be able to pick up little nuances, little enforcements of a lick, a guitar lick, or a little piano riff or something that you can play on top of or to augment or to actually answer to, or a little slide off, or you might put a pause in your bass part. If you're pedaling along, you might find that the fifth, eighth note, if you're pedaling, is not needed, and it gives a really cool hooky sort of pulse to the drums and the bass and the track in general. It's really important. So I find that if I up the recording of the bass and really address it all over again, you always have the original bass performance. However, if you re-record the bass, I'm going to say at least 75% of the time, you're going to end up with something that's cooler, that makes the record stronger. Because, as I say, if a record either lives or dies by the bass. The bass is what gives a record its danceability, its feel, its interest, its overall rhythm. It's all about the bass, really. Some might say the drums, and although that's really important, but the bass is really a key component, in my opinion, to modern records, at least modern day records, pop, rock, whatever it is, EDM, whatever it is, the bass is happening. Another key component that I do is I will also not only redo the bass, but I will look carefully at all the guitars. I'll look at all the keyboards. So let's say the guitars are cool, but there's an arpeggio guitar part that's really nice, and I love it, the part, but the tonality is too similar to the guitars you use for the main rhythm, okay, or for the clean part in the verse. The arpeggios that are the overdub part or whatever it is just sounds too similar. So I will redo that guitar part. I might use a different amp. I might just re-record it again, use a pedal. A lot of times I will keep a DI recording, a Virgin DI part or a Virgin DI guitar part into a pedal, into an amp. So really, if I'm pleased with that performance, all I have to do is just send that out to another amp or an amp simulator, if that's what I feel like using, and I will get a different tonality that will contrast the other guitar tones, just to give it a little more flavor. The same with a keyboard. Let's say you're doing a keyboard pad, and that keyboard has, within the chordal content of that keyboard pad, there's a little line or some kind of walking line it's in there, but it's not quite pronounced as nice as you might like it. So I will use a different keyboard and just augment whatever that walking line is, or little chimey notes that are key within that pad sound, the keyboard's pad sound, to make that just pop a little more, just to give it a little bit more of a sound, a little more flavor, a little more charm. I may use a guitar to actually highlight whatever keyboard walking line there might be. Another thing at the end of a record, which is really cool, is to just check it out to see if it needs some percussion. sometimes just a shake of a tambourine or tambourine backbeats, shakers, dare I say cowbell. A cowbell could be something cool. You could do hand claps, you can do whatever, or you can use electronic sort of percussion sounds from an electronic pad set or library. You can come up with some really cool things. As long as it adds flavor and something nuanced or maybe really loud, you can really make a track jump a lot more with just a backbeat tambourine. And even when I record tambourines, unless it's the perfect tambourine, I tend to like wooden tambourines. I tend to like Ludwig wooden tambourines. I will use a lot of tambourines together, different types, whatever. I tend to not use the ones that look like they're kind of like a U shape with a handle on the inside for balance. The little cymbal, chingy cymbal sound a little bit thin, a little bit whatever, unless that's part of 3 tambourines that I'm holding up, right? So what I'll do is I'll do a shake part of a tambourine, and then I'll do another track, maybe a couple of those with different combinations of tambourines, and then I will do just the backbeats so that I don't have to compress and use slow attack compression to bring up the backbeat within the shaking and, to whatever. Or I may use fast attack compression to bring down and smash down the part of the tambourine. If I have them discrete and the backbeats or whatever are on one track, and I have the shaking part of the tambourine on a different track, that can be really helpful. And I'll probably still compress it anyway and do whatever I need to do, but that can be really, really a good thing. I might look at things like, how are the vocals feeling? Would the lead vocal really be suited with a double or even a triple for the lead vocal? I'll go and I'll listen and I'll go, you know what? It might be more of a textural thing. So if I double the lead vocal in the chorus, I'll have the singer sing that again. I may just barely ghost it. It'll just be more of a texture thing. Or I might go full on, almost even. A lot of times it'll be 5 or 6 dB lower, but you can go full equal volume of a double or a triple even, or just have them staggered like the main vocal. Then a double vocal will be down a bit and a triple down. And that can really add nice scene changes within the verse, going to the beat, going into a chorus, just to make it sound more interesting. I'll also evaluate the overall performance of the lead vocal. A lot of times, let's say we've been living with a lead vocal that we all love or whatever, just for kicks, just to see what happens, I might ask the lead singer to say, you know what, why don't we just see what happens? Go for something that's completely you would never think of going for. Become a character, add some flavor, or become a wild man or wild woman, whoever's singing the vocal, and go for something that's really unique or on fire or moody or emotional, and exaggerate whatever it is you're singing about. Make it wild, make it crazy. Turn yourself into a unique character, like a cartoon character of some sort, and we'll see what happens. Sometimes we go, this is really cool. This really adds a whole new dimension to the lead vocal, and we love it. Or maybe if I end up with 1 or 2 lines out of it, it was worth the extra time to explore that, to make the most out of your record that you possibly can, okay? A lot of times I will also go through the arrangement and make sure that if there's anything that I want to cut out, let's say the arrangement of the song, or we've overdubbed a bit, the verse sounds a little bit full, and it's not something I want to just tuck in the mix, I'll experiment with just cutting things out. If I'm in Pro Tools or something, I will just go to a new playlist and I will blank out whatever parts and try some different arrangement ideas and see if there's sometimes a song will be much more interesting if you cut out elements within a record. It's not always adding something cool. Sometimes it's take away, get rid of stuff that's not needed, because a lot of times that can bring your focus to the listener to a more focused place in the record, and it's a cooler sound, and there's less going on. A lot of times for me, I would rather hear 3 instruments really great and get a feel than hearing 5 and not hearing anything at all, unless they're compiling to add one sound. Sometimes I'll use 1 or 2 instruments different unrelated instruments, a piano with a guitar or something, and they'll be playing the same thing and create a whole new sound together that you wouldn't get from one instrument alone. Or I will try different things like an EBow guitar. Let's say when I was talking about keyboards, maybe a really cool EBow guitar instead of something that you had going, or doing an octave higher, or an octave higher, or an octave lower for a lead vocal. Maybe I'll say in the little breakdown in the middle of a song, you're still at your main melodic register, the upper register. Why don't we bring that down a whole octave and go for a whole different mood with you singing down lower, and just explore little tidbits like that, okay? I will also make sure that the timing of things is feeling really good, okay? So if I want to nudge a lick or a solo, or I want to touch up something on the drums, I probably would have gotten to it already by that point, or the bass, I want to make sure that things feel good, not to sterilize, not to grid things out and make things boring and stiff and rigid, to make sure that things are bouncing and have that motion and have that feel. A lot of times, two milliseconds to the left on something, or 10 milliseconds laid back to the right on an instrument or a vocal or whatever, will be really good. Also, speaking of vocals, look at your background vocals. Sometimes a background vocal can be improved upon, the performance or the fall-offs or the timing of vocals. Let's say you have a stack of vocals. You don't always want to just do one chorus of vocals and just fly them in, okay? Just for the same reason why I'm really opposed to getting one great lead vocal sound on a chorus and flying them in, placing that same performance in every chorus. It's just not fulfilling. It doesn't allow a record to really grow and change and become more emotionally in tune with what the lyrical content and what the mood of the production is, okay? I'll look at things like effects and ear candy. Let's say I feel like there's a part of the song where I want to add a backward cymbal swell going in or something, or flip a little lick backwards, or I will want to add a little a flange or some kind of breakdown thing somewhere. I'll explore all that stuff and see if there's any sort of effects or ear candy that I can add or change to filter. Maybe I'll want to filter some stuff just to add some flavor to a record, never wanting to overdo it. You never want to bring attention to forcing effects on something, or even in a mix, you don't want to show off your mix chops and do stupid things that don't really help the record convey what it is it needs to convey. It should be pretty invisible. It shouldn't draw attention to itself. It should just be really great or really cool. Okay, so I'll sit there and I will listen to the record and I'll say, is it feeling good from top to bottom? A lot of times I'll have a pad and a pen, and I'll just sit down and jot stuff down and see if there's anything that catches my ear at a certain point. Let's say it's not interesting enough. And that doesn't mean filling in every hole, okay? Every blank spot or every lull. Sometimes a nice instrumental passage or whatever needs to be just that exactly to give release to whatever's going on in a record. As long as it maintains my interest and everything is flowing and feeling really great, okay? So I'll sit back and I'll ask myself, is there anything I want to change? I'll jot it down, and I will try some stuff in that section. I'll see what I can come up with. Because at the end of the day, good enough is not good enough. And you don't want to finish your production and wonder, is this a really good demo? Or is this a blinding record that blows me away? Right? Because you want the record to be blinding, and do whatever it is, put in the work, go for anything you got to go for to make sure that your production is ready to have an amazing mix. Okay? Make sure it's organized. Get rid of anything you don't need in the production, except talking. If you're tracking a band or something, and if there's some flavor or some banter between stuff or talking before solo, a lot of times when people prepare their track for mixing, they'll sanitize all that stuff and get rid of it. That's the humanity and stuff that I love. I love that stuff. So don't clean stuff that could some way, somehow, maybe be left in a count off or in an intro to a song or during a breakdown or something, because that stuff makes you perk up your ears and go, oh, wow, that was cool, right? Stuff that people take away, don't take away that stuff. Its character, its personality, it allows for interesting moments. So other than that, that's pretty much what I do at the end of producing a song. I go over everything. I make sure everything is great. I re-record stuff, and I make sure that I am personally blown away and the artist is blown away and everything is organized, and there's really nothing more that I feel I could do to a record to make it any stronger. Then the only thing you got to do is do a killer mix. All right, so that's it for this video. Thanks for being here and checking it out. If this at all resonated with you and you got something out of it, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel. Give it a like, give it a notification to all so you know when I post a video if you're into this. And until the next time, happy producing, happy song making. Cheers, everybody.